And that is my actual mother at the end.
Thank you.
Hi.
Well,
I'm sorry. Where do we begin?
Mark, listen, it's your, I mean, this is your...
No, this is yours.
No, this is all about you.
I know, but it's about you too.
Well,
okay.
I did get a few little scenes in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know you did porno. But if you guys have anything you want to say, any questions, any comments, don't throw anything. But if there's anything you'd like to know, we'd be happy to answer anything for you right now. Other than that, we can, you know the whole story, so there's nothing I can say specifically, like that hasn't been covered. But go ahead. Anybody?
Well, yeah. I
Just
mean,
shout it out, 'cause I can't see you.
I want to ask a question.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
it's probably many people here already know how to do it, but I just wondered, when you did the Super 8 afterwards, how would you actually edit it?
How did I edit the Super 8?
Yeah.
Literally on the film. We shot reversal. Is there anybody here that even remembers Super 8? Anybody old enough to remember? Yeah, that's what they used to shoot weddings, birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, whatever, and it was like a camera that looked like a gun.
I know the camera, but I'm talking about the afterwards, the post-production. How did you edit it?
We would get the film back. I would then determine how I wanted to make the cuts. I'd have to be committed to the cuts because once you cut it, you can't go back. So, if you did, you'd have to make a jump cut. So I would literally cut the film to the shots, and then if we knew we were going to have a scene that was going to be, let's say, a wide shot for 5 seconds, we would shoot 5 seconds or 10 seconds of it. I didn't shoot the whole scene as a wide shot like you could do today because film at the time was expensive. And then I would cut it together by using splicing tape, and it's about the size of your fingernail. Sometimes I'd use Scotch tape because I would run out of splicing tape. We would use whatever was available and put it together piece by piece.
But when you cut it, was there a particular machine to cut it with? What did you
no
use to
machine,
cut?
a little plastic thing with 2 little plastic reels. Yeah, you could probably get them in toy stores now.
All right, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because when I talk at colleges or schools, I feel like I'm saying to these kids, you damn kids today don't know how easy it is to make a movie. You got your video cards and you got your little things and your cameras. In my day, we had to cut film that was the size of your fingernail. Sometimes we had to use Scotch tape. As I said, you get to feel like an old college. Don't forget, Postman Press 40 years ago. And I am like looking at this thing going, who's that cute little kid? And he was so sweet and innocent and grew up into this. But anyway, does that answer your question as far as editing goes?
Thank you very much. Yeah,
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming. Next. Just shout it out like I said, I can't hear or I can't see you.
Do you have another project?
Another project? Excuse me. No, not really. This I considered Deceased One just as sort of as my swan song. I think I got to a place where, it's cute when you're in your 20s and 30s and you're running around with giant ass props and, just doing all these bizarre things. As you get to be a certain age, I'm 67 now, and you don't really have the same kind of feeling when people are around you going, look at that old guy trying to make a movie. It's just sort of like, I don't know, it almost feels like this is a younger man's game. Now, I often said that I would do a work for hire now if somebody else had a project and they wanted to bring it in, as a director. I consider that. But to do the whole shebang, getting all the actors together, getting everything together without a budget, and the budgets that you saw, those were the real prices. I mean, nowadays you don't really have to spend that much to make a movie. You might have to spend money to get people motivated, and that's the thing that I love about my cast and crew, is that they're there because they want to be there. They're not there because of of money, which is obvious. And it came to a place where I got really choked up when we did my last film, because we had everybody go up to a cabin about an hour and a half away from where we all lived for nothing, and it was just one of these things where you guys are here, you're coming all the way out here, you have faith in it, faith in my projects. Lauren Baldwin, whose parents, by the way, are here. I'm honored that they came. Now, Lauren Baldwin is the black and white lady that you saw there. She's been in 3 of my films. I discovered her about 15 years ago when we did The God Complex. She was the Virgin Mary. And she's been in more and more of my films. And again, another devoted actress that is above and beyond the call of duty. So it really is sweet when you know that people want to be there and they're really interested in what you have to do. And it's, I'm grateful to Matt to even bring this to your attention, because I would say 99% of you probably never heard of any of these movies that we did. And just out of curiosity, has anybody heard of any of these movies before? I see 2 hands, 3 hands. I see a gimp. I see a... No, I mean, it's very rare. And these movies, for the most part, unless you're a cult film fan or somebody that follows one's career, a lot of these movies get buried. You don't really know that they're around. But with things like this, and maybe people telling their friends, I saw this weird movie, and let's go check it out. It's very flattering when people come up to me and say, I saw your movie 10 years ago or whatever. Yes, you have a question?
You have a quote in this. You have a quote in this movie. I was just very curious. You say, now these days everyone is get offended of everything. How you cope with it?
How do I cope with it?
Yeah.
The same way I coped with it when I was in my 20s. Screw them. I mean, it's sort of like if you're out to do something that you find fun, you're in a sandbox, you're playing, making a sandcastle, and someone comes along and says, I don't like it. Well, fine, you don't have to play in the sandbox. I've never had a problem. I mean, somebody that's going to make a movie that parodies the Bible, and we have a scene in the movie where, which I don't know if it was ever in a previous version of this documentary, the burning bush.
You took the burning bush out.
You took the burning bush out. Well, you want to, yeah, we had.
I could put it, well, it meant go back in, but you can describe the burning bush if you want.
The burning bush, again, since we cover every beat from the Bible, we have a burning bush scene, which is Moses' wife's crotch. Okay, so we've got God's face here with fire all around it. Yeah, very funny scene. And if that's not going to offend some, religious people out there, I don't know what is. And again, I don't really think about that because when I make a movie, it's for the enjoyment of people that get the joke. Like people that like South Park or Family Guy. I mean, those shows go way over the edge. And the movies that I make, at the time we did them, might have gone over the edge a little bit. Curse of the Queer Wolf, about a guy that turns gay when the moon rises, back in the 80s, got a little resistance, but I didn't care because I didn't, there's no investors I had to impress, there's no budget that I had to worry about, so there weren't people breathing down my neck saying, you got to take this out or you can't do that. And to me, if it's funny, it stays in. And what's funny, it makes me laugh. So I try to appeal to the same people that have a sense of humor that I do. Most of them are in asylums now. But that's okay. Everybody has something that they love. There's always some people that like movies that nobody else likes. And when you make a project, it's like having a child. You go through the period of nurturing this child and hoping that the child will go somewhere. I have some children that have done fairly well. I have some that are like little retarded kids in the corner with pulling pillows to park. I can't say retarded anymore, I'm sorry, that's from the old days. But so every film that I make has a sort of a different end goal, let's say. And when you look at Polish Vampire, which was my first child, officially, I made shorts before that, but my first official featured child, that one sort of is what set the face. I have people today, as a matter of fact, earlier today, we did a panel, and some people came up to me and said, I'm a big fan of Polish Vampire from 40 years ago. I don't even think she was 40 years old or beyond that. So again, it's humbling, it's flattering. I know these movies are, not rocket science, and I know they're not going to change the world. Some filmmakers go in with the attitude, this is going to be the next Casablanca or something, and I never had that feeling, and obviously, Ratuma, the next Casablanca. That should be Anyway, anything else up there? Sorry. Yeah.
Can you tell us, Mark, how people here in the United Kingdom can see your films?
I think the best way you can find most of my films is on Tubi. Are you familiar with Tubi? It's kind of like Netflix, only cheaper. Tubi, T-U-B-I.
We don't have Tubi over here.
You have to have Tubi over here. I can't
No,
believe
because I tried as well earlier, and he said it's only for
Only for
USA.
the US. Oh,
Yeah.
that blows. Okay, well, I think Amazon has some of them. You can always go to my website and pick up a DVD, tell them you were at here and maybe we'll give you a deal, Paramount.com, that's where all of the films are available on DVD. I'm really disappointed about Tubi.
It's a pity. It's a
I'm
pity.
going to talk to the American ambassador about that.
Well, do something about it.
Yeah, that's terrible. But Tubi, which I don't know if there's a European equivalent, but if there is,
But
I'll
maybe
look
it's
for it.
Vimeo.
Vimeo.
Yeah, in Vimeo you can
Vimeo,
post your
but I'm
movie in
not on it yet.
Vimeo.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
No, Matt, I think Vimeo here.
Yeah.
You can just post a short film in Vimeo now.
Yeah, I
surely.
don't have anything on Vimeo though yet. We'll work on
You
it.
could do
know.
that. Yeah, could do that.
Yeah. Okay, so shout it out if you have questions. I can't see your hands.
Right in the middle, yes.
Yes. Firstly, Mark, thank you so much for just conveying the sheer joy of filmmaking and connecting with the audiences decades after decade and never losing that youthful vitality that you have in the first reel. So thank you from all of us.
Oh, well, thank you. I was telling Matt earlier, somebody that it's a lot cheaper to do this than to go out and buy an AK-47 and kill people, which is pretty popular in my country. So yeah, this is sort of a stopgap, making films, being creative, doing things that that people enjoy. And again, thank you for appreciating it.
And there's one thing that struck me, and I hope you don't mind the parallels, but when you start the film and they show, and you came up with a name as a kid, as a teenager, you probably know that like Steven Spielberg started the same thing with Super 8 and people like Peter Jackson. He started making a tiny kiddie version of King Kong, which became like his.
Steven Spielberg, Peter Jackson, they're filmmakers, right?
Yeah,
I heard of them. No, that's a common story. I mean, a lot of early filmmakers.
You have the same background, and I was thinking that in your travels, have you ever met any of those guys? And if you have, what's
Well,
the conversations you have?
I have. Spielberg said something really funny to me once. Stop stalking me. Actually, I had a friend that was an assistant in Spielberg's world, and he managed to get a copy of one of my really early films to Spielberg, which was Spy Who Did It Better. It was the James Bond parody, and he was kind enough to sit there and watch it. I wasn't there to see it, and my friend said that he watched it. Then he got a phone call, and he watched a little more of it. Then he got somebody came in, but he said, he'll be a filmmaker. That was the end of that experience. But I've never met any of the other ones. John Landis for a while. I was corresponding with him back and forth because I absolutely loved his American Werewolf in London. I loved the Blues Brothers. I loved a lot of these movies, and some of them were getting kind of bad reviews. And I sent him a letter saying, I was a theater usher, by the way, at that time. And I sent him a letter saying, I work in a theater, and I go into the audience on my lunch breaks, and I listen to the people, and they're loving this film. I think it was Blues Brothers. And I go, ignore the critics. People are condemning this or whatever. It's a great film. And he sent me a letter back saying, what a wonderful thing to say. Thank you very much. And very appreciative. And then we had a phone conversation for a couple of times back and forth. And I would invite him to premieres, which he never came to. But no. So I know that a lot of these people that are already established probably get a lot of fans that contact them, so I don't like to bother them and say, is there anything you can do for me? And that's why I stopped chasing money years and years ago. In my earlier films, I was looking for investors. I was spending a lot of time trying to prepare a film, but try to get the money for it. That's when I decided I'm just going to get my own equipment, do my own stuff, and you don't have to answer to anybody. I have 2 films that were made for other people, Death Row Game Show and Buford's Beach Bunnies, which is so unlike me. But those were companies that said, we could put you in, the driver's seat. But those are my least favorite films and the ones I had the least control over. So I really learned in my later life is to make your own thing, do your own film. Be happy with what you have. Some people make movies just because, let's put boobs in here, let's do this and that. We have an explosion here, and that's movie making by the numbers. I don't do that. That's why maybe some of these movies you've never heard of, because they appeal to a quirky audience or an audience that probably never would discover these. But it doesn't matter. I've given up the thought of living in Beverly Hills and having a huge mansion and a yacht and hookers. But Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein, for all of us.
Keep me for approval, and I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I basically have gotten to a point early on, maybe mid-career, where it's like, I'm not going to pursue this big, giant competition with these huge filmmakers. I'm just going to make my little, small, quirky films, and hopefully people like you will discover them, and hopefully you'll enjoy them.
So
May
Mark, how
I
did
say
it-
something? May I say something?
I'm sorry, he's back.
I want to say